Nothing in this recording is intended as investment advice, and the people in this recording may hold positions in the companies they talk about. Do not make any investment based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.
Hello and welcome to Zak's Traders Cafe. Today I'm joined by Greg Martyr, who's Executive Chairman at Capital Metals. How are you today, Greg?
Excellent, Zach. Good to see you again.
Right, we had a very comprehensive announcement from you earlier this week. And I suppose the sizzle there was the run-up to FID, but there's much more to it than that.
Indeed, yeah. No, it's been a busy time. And there was a bit of summary of what we've been doing the last 6 months. And so from a summary point of view, the big things that have happened this year is getting that Sri Lankan partner. And we're so happy that they've come in. Not only do they come with funds, but they come with great connections and are very hands-on. So couldn't be happier with that arrangement. And they are definitely helping us on a daily basis, and I'm really looking forward to working with them on raising the rest of the financing and getting those final approvals to get to that FID point. The other thing, from a summary point of view, was just the recapping on the drilling results. So we finally got to do that deep drilling, 170 holes, and an average of over 10 metres. And our resource, as only goes to 1.6 metres on average. Mm-hmm. So hitting down to 15 metres, sometimes seeing 60% grade. I think everyone has been waiting for this for a long time. We've been talking about it for a long time, just saying how much potential there is. But it's pretty clear that this resource is going to be a lot bigger than what it is officially now. We're in the process of just doing it. We're going to stage the resource upgrade based on the drilling as it goes in phases. And the first stage of that upgrade is going to be the initial mining area. And that we're hoping to put out in October. So it's just, I think in that release we said we went from sort of 47 hectares to 150 hectares thereabouts. So we've tripled that area where the resource is. I don't know whether that's going to be the pattern across the full 60 kilometres, but there's a good sense of it. So really happy the way that went. Then for where we're at now and what is the plans in the next few months, the purpose of the release was just to give people a sense that we're in construction mode. You're getting very close to construction mode. So all the studies are on track to be finished by the end of the year, so that we can actually turn soil. And so the things they're the things that are in our control. The things not in our control, we only need 2 more approvals from the government, and we've been working, as I said, closely with our partners on getting clarity around how we're going to get those, and I'll come back to that. And then the other thing out of our control is the financing. So good discussions with local banks for getting up to sort of 15 million of debt, and they're flush with US dollars, so the boys are reasonably confident that will be a positive outcome, but we're not putting all our eggs in one basket. We've got a few alternative funding mechanisms that we're looking at, just so we've got options at the end of the day. Some good strategic conversations still going on with off-takers. We know that we'll be able to sell the product, so we've been prioritising conversations with ones that can provide money, get some equity in the project and give us a bit of a prepay. So we're pushing hard, and I keep pushing everyone that it's the end of the year. So end of December is when we want to be able to do FID. We need everything to align to be able to get there, but I'm still confident that we can actually achieve that.
Right. I mean, there's a couple of points. The key points with what you're doing in Sri Lanka. One it's always been the case that the capex is very low.
Yep.
You already said it was near surface, so that makes it easy. But the capex has been low. $10-15 million is nothing in terms of world class assets and funding for that. The other thing is that in the RNS that you put out, you quoted improved economics. Is it the case that they could improve further?
Look, what the big thing will be is just increasing the resource, and that just goes straight to the bottom line. Now, whether we've done sort of modelling on how much doubling the resource, tripling the resource, how much capacity you build. You'll do that on an IRR basis, right? So you're trying to drive the highest IRR. So in the value update we worked closely with Mineral Technologies on that, and so Stuart, our COO, and Andrew Coots from Mineral Technologies really got into the weeds So we've got a very powerful model now, really good for planning, mine planning, and flexibility on that capacity thing we were talking about. We had to take on the chin. There was an increase in the tax rate since we did the last model from 14 to 28%, increase in the royalty from 7%. But we've factored in a third increase in the resource, which is pretty conservative in our base case. So we're now coming out with 180 million of a base case NPV, and an upside case factors in a little bit more increase in the resource to 1.6 times, and a higher price deck if the stars align on that front, and that's 289 million. So it's and way above obviously where we're trading at the moment. Everyone's always disappointed in their share price. I think I was expecting we probably would have been a bit higher at the moment, but we've just got to focus on and deliver, and the share price will follow. I'm very confident in that.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. I mean, the share price and the market cap currently is 17 billion, which seems to be like just at the starting block rather than any appreciation. The other thing, we've seen lots of explorers, developers go up in the wake of the Trump tariff situation, the critical minerals situation. Yep. Would you have thought that you'd be positively affected by that?
Look, mineral sands is, I always say, it's not a very sexy business. We have titanium is, well, ultimately where it'll go to for the pigment, but and there's some that goes into titanium metals. I think people overstate what critical metals are, and I'm not one that's out there saying, hey, look, we should be doing a lot better because we're a critical mineral. Our markets are a little bit soft at the moment, but there's forecast to come back, and everyone seems to have consensus that they'll come back around the time that we're getting into production. So again, we just got to get on, do what we do.
But at the same time, your shares are up 110% year to date.
Yes,
so
I'm not.
It could be worse.
I know. Look, we were from a pretty low base, but look, we've just got to keep ticking the boxes, and I think I'm no doubt everyone's looking for us to get to that FID point, and at that stage the project's pretty much de-risked.
Right, so hopefully there'll be a squeeze higher ahead of FID, and then next year things can start moving further. You've got the 2 approvals to wait for.
Yep.
Is the government your best mate at the moment?
Yeah, so there's some really good things going on with the government. There's been a draft national minerals policy floating around, which we've had input into, seen all the versions over the last 4 years. And the last government never actually put it in place. So we now know, and we've been part of that process, that all the key ministries, so the Industry Ministry, Finance, Environment, which runs the Mines Department, the Board of Investment, they have set up committee driving that, and they've talked to industry, and we're told that that's coming out in the next couple of weeks. And then what will flow from that, so that's an umbrella policy that covers all commodities, and then they'll have specific, I think it's going to be cabinet memorandums that will govern the specific commodities, the mineral sands, and what we're looking for is guidance or clarity on the capacity to export concentrate. That's the big thing we've been pushing for. Touch wood, everything I'm hearing is that we're going to be pleased. The other thing that's happened, what that means is it's telling the country and the rest of the world that they're open for business in mining. And the interesting thing that's gone on in Sri Lanka is, they're very, very serious about anti-corruption, and they've put a lot of ex-ministers and their parliamentary teams in jail. They're going very hard at it. What it's meant since they came into power, from a ministerial point of view in November, is some of them have been sitting back and been afraid to make decisions, because you make a decision, it means you're favouring someone, and the old world would have been, who paid you for that? So there has been a little bit of that slowness. What we think is going to come from this is that signal that they are open for business, and that start making decisions. And we met actually with the High Commissioner yesterday, and he said they've had a recent session with some of the key ministers, and all of the international commissioners, and basically saying, guys, you've got to get out there and you've got to make decisions, but you need to have paperwork to justify why you made that decision. Pretty basic stuff. As he said to us, we learned that at school. We learned that at university. But they haven't had it before, so that was pretty reassuring as well. So yeah, we're happy. We're happy with their policies, and it has been a little bit slow. But we've never been concerned that we weren't going to get there. It's just this catalyst I'm really looking forward to.
But I suppose the only thing which would delay the share price heading even more up than 100% is news on project funding. So that's really.
Yeah.
But you're saying to me and to the market that is, it's a small amount and there's plenty of interest.
Yeah. There's, as I said, we've got a lot of irons in the fire. Plan A is equity. Equity. We're not, as we said, we're not going to go for the listings as a source of funding for the FID. I was just concerned that process could drag out too much in Sri Lanka. We're still talking to them, and I think maybe we'll do it during construction or probably when we get into production. But there's a lot of ultra high net worths in Sri Lanka. Some of which came in that last raise through the Ambien group, and so we could raise all the equity we need from there. But we're also got some strong strategic conversations with off-takers along those lines before I said of putting a bit of equity in and doing a prepay. Right. And we've got sort of plan B on the banking side so plan A is corporate banking out of Sri Lanka, and our partners actually own 10% of 3 of the banks there. So they're pretty well connected, and I think they understand the space. I think that's, as I said, that's the thing that's outside of our control, but we're working pretty hard to tick that box soon.
Well, I won't try and probe you too much on that front because obviously that's rather juicy information, but Greg Martyr, Executive Chairman at Capital Metals, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Zach.